Ghost of Yōtei. Yōtei. Ghost of Yōtei.
Yotei.
Yotei. Ghost of Yōtei coming out in 2025. Dave, let's hear it.
Super excited for this one, guys. Not going to lie. I am super excited for it. We can go ahead and roll the trailer because of a little bit of a longer trailer. But yeah, we talked about it a little bit on the last episode, and you guys saw my reaction to learning about this game coming into fruition live. And that excitement has kind of carried over into this episode of how excited I am for this game because honestly, I know there's honestly kind of like a little bit of a mixed bag here of people that are excited and people that are kind of disappointed, and we'll go over a few reasons why. But I am very much on team super excited for this, and one of the major reasons is like I'm just excited for the fact that this is going to be the first time that Sucker Punch has actually been able to build a game for PS5 hardware, and it like fans of the original Ghost series, if you remember me talking about the original Ghost series, I was kind of blown away by how the game looked and how it controlled and stuff like that. And to have a game of that level on the PS4 now just be focusing purely on the PS5 hardware, I think this game could quite possibly be like the best looking game we've ever seen on the console.
I would definitely agree with you. And like even like knowing these are just cinematics, yes, there's going to be a little bit of scale down from it. I don't think it's much. I think the visualization, even from Tsushima, it was so good, so well done. I think it's going to be like even more exacerbated or more of a show playing the game, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna finally see like somebody kind of I don't want to say take it to the next level because developers have obviously been making great games for this hardware, but I think this is kind of we're getting to the part where developers are now manufacturing games that are stretching the hardware to its limits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think anybody's kind of like gotten close to that yet.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a game that kind of pushes the PS5 to its limits and sees like what it can actually handle, you know?
Especially with the release of the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like,
right.
This is going to really shine on the new hardware. And like we said with the previous game, it already did that. Now it's going to be even more with this game. And I'm excited for it. And even though I didn't play the first one, watching this trailer, watching more gameplay of Ghost of Tsushima, like I'm so much more excited for this one.
Yeah, and it's great that you brought that up. So guys, if you're just listening, again, we're kind of checking out the trailer right now, and there's a lot going on here, and I want to talk about everything that we've seen in the trailer. But Adam brought up a really great point, is that he's excited for this game but hasn't played the first one. And the good news here is that this is an original story. It is not a direct sequel. So if you have not played the original Ghosts yet, I cannot recommend it any more than is humanly possible. You should go play that game immediately. But if you haven't and you have no interest in playing it, this is a standalone title. So you do not need to have played Ghost of Tsushima to understand what's happening in this game.
And I think that's really good for players like me. And typically this isn't my style of gameplay, but I think what really sold me is the fact that it's so aesthetically pleasing. The world is really well done. And I think the story of the game is really well done. And I think that's why I'm super excited about it. And kind of a side note here, 2025 release date. Next year is going to be the year of gaming for who knows how long. Like with this game coming out, GTA 6 and so many others that we've talked about, it's going to be like the flagship year of video games because of what's coming out, and I think that's super exciting. But other than that,
I can't believe how many games are coming out next year, honestly. But yeah, but like good on Sucker Punch to drop this game and like have a 2025 release date. Like usually we get game announcements, it's like coming in 2028 and you're like, what?
right? And that's like especially with things like Wolverine, which is another PlayStation game. We haven't heard anything on that. in so long. Like we heard about that in last year's Summer Game Fest or State of Play. I can't remember which one it was, but we haven't heard much about it. We haven't seen any gameplay or anything like this. This one, like, just announced. They show. I think there's a little bit of gameplay, like with the scene transitions of like galloping through the grasslands and walking through the snow. I think that's a little bit more of the gameplay, but it's so much more than we've seen with than Wolverine and some other PlayStation exclusive games. Um, but kind of going into it a little bit here, or one more side note here. So there's actually, and part of why people think that this is its new standalone title is because Ghost of Tsushima is actually getting its own movie, and so they're like want to put emphasis and focus into that instead of kind of sidetracking people away from it. But either way, it's still really cool looking, and that movie is going to be directed by I'm gonna mess this up, Chad Stileski. Did I say that right? Who directed John Wick?
John Wick, baby.
Yeah, so very excited, very great director, and should be a good movie. But I think that's partially why they went with a different route of bringing in Yotei. I'm saying it wrong over and over, but and I just think that's pretty cool. And other things about it is, like you said, they're bringing it from the ground up to really be its own thing for PlayStation 5.
I know that there's kind of um a mass divided here, right? Of people that are kind of excited that it's a new story and people that are kind of not, that they really wanted a continuation. But like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but like the end of the last game, I feel like you probably could go on if you wanted to, but it also felt like it kind of wrapped. You know what I mean? Like I felt good about the ending. It felt like it ended. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's what I saw as well. A lot of people were saying that it had a good closure to it, where it didn't have you like, "Oh, I need another sequel to see what's going on." It had a good, yes, this is a good ending, but it's like a but.
Yeah. Yeah, like they could go on if they wanted to, but it had a good ending to it. To me, it just always felt like Ghost of Tsushima was going to be a one-off because the ending made it seem like that was the end. Which was part of the reason why I was so excited when we saw another one. You know what I mean? So it's like I didn't think that this was going to get a two. You know, it was just, it was never really, it never felt like it was set up to have a sequel. So I'm kind of team, I'm glad that they've made an original story here. And now they've opened the door to be able to do this over and over and over, because what they're saying is like, we're not doing like a Ghost of Tsushima series. We're doing a Ghost series. And you're going to be getting a bunch of Ghost games that all have the same feel, the same vibe, a little bit of the same lore, but they're all going to be their own separate stories. And it's like, dude, you could do that for forever. And I would love it.
I say, look at Assassin's Creed. They started as a story, and now they're kind of random with whatever they decide to throw out there. However, there's a little bit more quality right now. So Ghosts do not transition to the rinse and repeat of Assassin's Creed, but they're still good games. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's more of a Call of Duty situation where they just start releasing stuff now.
I mean, once you get to 13, it gets a little bit crazy, but
Going into the setting a little bit, like we said, or we didn't really say much about it yet. The new setting is taking place around Mount Yōtei, which is an area Ezo.
I feel like you nailed it.
Yeah, Ezo, which is modern day Japan's Hokkaido, and it's taking place in 1603, and you get to play as Atsu, a Ronin.
Nailed it. Yeah. So this is going to be taking place in 1603. This is 300 years after the events of the original Ghosts. Adam talked about, the setting around Mount Yōtei. And I think what's really cool about this story is if you listen to the trailer, you're kind of getting painted a picture here, right? So in the original Ghosts, it was very much like these very controlled, very disciplined kind of clans. This doesn't feel like it's gonna be that, and they've kind of set it up so that like this area is kind of like the wild, wild west. They say in the trailer, like people come out here to hide.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is gonna be like a very less controlled area, a lot like like cowboys in the wild, wild west, man. It's just gonna be kind of like no holds bar out there.
Yeah.
And so you are going to be Atsu, And she does appear as a Ronin, and basically, I had to like kind of see what was going on here. But if you don't know what a Ronin is, like a Ronin is essentially a samurai without a master. They're really just kind of like a sword for hire,
Yeah.
if
Like a
that makes
mercenary.
sense. Yeah, like a mercenary, basically. And they do say in the trailer, which I think is really cool, the hunter becomes the hunted, right? So the premise of the game, I believe, is that you're going to be going out there, and then like all of these other Ronins are also trying to like take you out. I don't know why. I don't know what you've done. I don't know why. Like, but you see like the wanted poster of her in the trailer, so I'm not really sure what you've done to like garner this attention, but my wheels are just spinning on like all of the cool altercations that you could have with this, with like specific Ronins coming and like trying to take you out and stuff.
I think what this it's going to be with how well the story is going to pan out. I think it's probably going to be some type of cliche of, oh, her family was killed and she killed the guy that killed them and went on this hunt of killing other Ronins kind of situation. But I think it's going to play out better than how I'm describing it, if that makes sense.
Like it almost feels like I don't want to be cliche, but it almost feels like a like maybe she got hired to do something, and then the person that hired her wants to make sure that like what happened never gets out, and she's the loose end, because she's the one that committed the act. Like she can turn, so like he hires the Ronin does the terrible thing that he wants her to do, and then hires other Ronins to take out her. That's kind of what I was getting from it.
Or something went wrong and yeah, and she killed the wrong person. Who knows? It's up in the air on what the story's actually about, but that's my thought is it could be like a family situation. She killed the wrong person and then people are sent after her, but who knows?
Did a little bit of a deep dive. I really kind of went down the rabbit hole to try to find the storyline here, and you can't really find it. So good on Sucker Punch for not, leaking it out. But that's kind of what I think. But I mean, regardless of the story, we like if you are a fan of the original Ghosts, you kind of know what you're getting into already. And regardless of the story, like the original story was great, so I don't have any like worries that they're not going to produce a great story. And just to get into that world now, like I know it takes place 300 years after, but like to get back into the ghost world, I'm just super excited about it. And they've introduced some really cool new features. Number one, you can see this in the trailer, is the dual wield. i'm s- Dude, I am super excited for the dual wield. And they're introducing guns, which I think you might be a little bit more excited about.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how that is. I wonder if it's not going to be so much you just sit back and snipe, or it's going to be, you know how there's like some. Well, it's a musket. It's like a longer musket, so I can't imagine
Yeah.
it's like a quick draw situation. So it's probably going to be a little bit more methodical on how you use it. I'm guessing where you can't just go
Yeah.
and start quick drawing some sworded assassins and things like that. But that is a really cool element. I'm curious to see how much of that really is an effective weapon in the game. And then they are also adding Kusari Gamma, which is like the spinning blade. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, on the chain. Yeah. So that, I mean, I don't know. The way that I was kind of thinking the guns might work, just to jump back to the guns real quick. Bloodborne did this with like the parry system, where you literally just have like a parry button and it pulls out the gun and like quick fires. Then kind of like really looking at the trailer, like you said, it looks like a musket, so I'm not really sure if that's possible. But I mean, keeping in mind it's in the 1600s, like you're not gonna be like you're not gonna be like AR-15 and out there like bah, 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 you know what I mean? It's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be more like methodical. But the one thing that we did see in the trailer, and I am super excited about, was the wolf. The wolf companion, dude. Having a wolf companion with you is going to be absolutely disgusting in this setting.
I wonder how it's also gonna like. I'm just lots of questions. We'll see more when gameplay starting to become released. But I wonder if this is going to be a cooldown thing, or you send your wolf and kind of attacks as you want. I'm curious to see how it blends in with the gameplay. If it's going to be you have to use it all the time, or just kind of use it in situations where you feel like it's overwhelming. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it's gonna be kind of level-headed here. I mean, there's probably going to be situations in which you do have to use the wolf for certain things because, you know how developers love putting in the game mechanics of like switch to the wolf and sneak around and like open the door and stuff like that. So you might have to do that stuff, but like I almost think of it as like quick actions, right? So like, you know, if you're in the middle of a fight or something like that, the way that Ghost of Tsushima worked, you get a lot of like duels and stuff like that too. So I feel like there's going to be instances like especially in these like main duels and stuff like that where the wolf is kind of non-existent, and then in just like general kind of combat maybe you can like set your D-pad to like have the wolf quick attack or something like that. But I don't think it's going to like disrupt gameplay.
Maybe it's one of those situations where kind of in Spider-Man you have to hit the button at the right time, and then like that's when the wolf can come help a second or then run out. But I'm curious to see how that works. Or I wonder kind of how you described it, if it is going to be more like more recently Star Wars Outlaws, where you had your little companion that you could jump at him, Nyx, the little guy. They can have like blow up stuff, attack people, fetch things for you. I wonder if it's gonna be that kind of situation too.
That's the closest of you know like because I know you didn't play the original, so that's probably the closest like you would like recognize. That's the closest one.
Other things about it, they had promised that with this new development of bringing it strictly for PlayStation 5, like using that as their baseline now. Um, they're gonna have where like you can see farther, and the stars are gonna be more bright and more twinkly. You're gonna see auroras in the sky, and so they're really trying to improve their elements of realism, including the wind as well, and just the way things move in the world. And again, when the game is so visually pleasing to look at, I think it just makes the game so much more strong to play on top of the great mechanics the first one already had.
They said like the water and the plants and stuff too, which was like I don't like honestly, I don't know how they can make it much better because when I saw Ghosts, I was just like blown away. It was one of the things I was blown away at. It was like you're riding through this field and it's like you can see every blade of grass like move like flowing in the wind, and you're just like, dude, the future of gaming is here. Like when I saw Ghosts, I was like, every game needs to be this level, or like I don't want it. You know what I mean?
I just think it's a game that fans are really excited about just to see where it's gonna go, and they can only expand so much more. Like they're going to expand so much more from the first one, and I think really make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. Again, just I know there's a little bit of a divide here, but I think closer to release, the people on the other side of the coin that are a little upset that it's original title, might start to that disappointment might start to fade and just like all right, like I'm excited for a new Ghost game. So
4 years since the release of the first one,
4 years, yep.
so I think it's either you don't jump on board and you're disappointed that there isn't one for who knows forever or anything, or you jump on the board and say this is a great game. And I think that's what, like you said, a lot of people are going to do. I do have a question. The first one has multiplayer too, right?
Yes.
How does that work? Like, I never like I didn't realize it was a multiplayer game. Was it very popular? Was it fun?
It's kind of popular. I mean, essentially, it's basically like it's like a hero shooter, but no guns.
Okay, so you just attack each other with swords and
Yeah, it's like a team based, like Dark Souls PvP.
I was just curious. I didn't realize, and I think they're gonna have the same kind of deal with this one too, is from what I read. So
Yeah, they are bringing back multiplayer. I know people were a fan of the multiplayer. I personally was. No, it's not that I wasn't a fan. It's just like I'm not really a big online multiplayer person anyway. So like in a game, especially like that, I was like, But the option is there. They're gonna expand on it a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but it is still an option.
yeah, let us know if you're excited about Ghost of Yōtei, and if I don't know, just let us know if you're excited.
Let us know down in the comments if you're excited. Ghost of Yōtei comes out 2025. It looks absolutely amazing, and I do think it is going to be the game that pushes the PS5 hardware to its limits and we can see what this thing can actually do.